I have a huge announcement today. I just released a brand new manga project with Valkyrae's Hihi Studios, as well as Globalcomix, the comic platform. And today I'm going to break it all down, what the project's about, how I landed the deal, what the production was like, and most importantly, what you can learn from my experience and how you can apply that knowledge to your own manga projects. But before we get into the video, hey guys, I'm Brandon Chen. I'm a writer-producer for the webtoon manga space. I run a studio Inspired Productions that makes my stories and the successful ones we try to take to animation. If there's a free way that you want to help support me, support the channel, smash the like button. Really helps out with the YouTube algorithm, and it really helps other people see this video. And subscribe if you're interested in learning more about the webtoon anime manga space from more of an educational lens. Now let's get right into the basics. What is Apollyon even about? In Apollyon, the world is divided by the radiant city of Valkyrae, a utopia suspended in the clouds, and Chasm City, which is an underbelly encircling a vast abyss. Here, magic is both a blessing and a curse. Neru, who's the son of Valkyrae's most powerful wizard, struggles under the weight of his father's legacy, and despite his immense magical potential, he's never been able to cast a single spell. Thus, he was banished to Chasm City, which is a pit that carves through the center of the world where the magicless live amongst demons. He believes his life is doomed to mediocrity, that is until he crosses paths with a magical entity that was believed to be extinct, which is a fallen angel that unlocks Neru's ability to cast spells. At last, he has his chance to reclaim his father's legacy, but he is not the only one who covets the angel's power. So that's what the manga is about. At its core, the story, you can tell it's a lot about legacy. It's about family expectations. It's about the expectations that you put on yourself and what it means to live up to or break free from the fate that you sort of envision for yourself. There's also a lot of themes of segregation and division within society, but of course it's all wrapped up in a story that we try to make really entertaining. So how did I even lock down this deal? Honestly, it's a super long journey. I've been looking for manga publishers for as long as I can remember. It's been almost a decade now. I used to take manga projects out to the various American comic book publishers here in the US, and no one would really give me the chance. So for a long time I gave up on manga and pursued webtoons, which is where, you know, I work with a lot of different publishers and all that stuff, yada yada. But then, you know, a few years ago I met the team at Globalcomix, actually at a cafe here in New York. Back then, you know, I learned a lot about their origins and how they came to make the company, and a lot of the founders were super big fans of manga. And so I actually pitched them back in the day on an original manga project. That's not really been done that much here in the US, original manga projects that, you know, are fully funded by a publisher. And back then it was still an enormous risk, and, you know, they were still building the platform as a place for creators to release their own projects, and, you know, we're more focused on the creator economy as opposed to like curated content of their own. And that totally makes sense, right? But fast forward to now, you know, they've really built out the platform. They've built out an ecosystem of creators that are releasing there, as well as an ecosystem of publishers like Kodansha, Dark Horse, DC, Marvel. You know, they're all publishing on there. They were ready to explore their first original project, and they came to me actually with this opportunity that Valkyrae and her new studio, Hihi Studios, were looking for a new production partner for an original series. At the time, there was no story. They just knew that they wanted to make something cool. And since Ray was a massive fan of anime, Globalcomix was really going through the different types of professionals in the US that could really help realize this project. Eventually, they gave me a call. Next thing I know, I'm literally on a call pitching myself to Valkyrae. She loved the idea of collaborating with me, and I signed on, and we were off to the races. Next thing I know, we're announcing the project at New York Comic Con in front of a ton of people who were super fans of her. It's kind of crazy actually now I think back to it. And so let me talk a little bit about what the production experience was like. You know, after we went through that whole process of pitching, getting the series greenlit, signing all the paperwork, we were ready to go into production. Let's start with the writing. Working with Valkyrae was actually a super collaborative process, different from a lot of collaborative projects that I've worked on with, you know, whether it's celebrities or working with big IP holders. You know, usually they will shut down ideas and, you know, all that stuff. But she was really open to the ideas and my expertise in the space. And something for creators to really think about is that you don't want to work with, you know, whether it's an IP holder or a creator, you don't want to work with someone who just shuts down your ideas. You know, you want someone who's sort of open-minded, and if they don't like your idea, they're going to be able to express why they don't like your idea. And you want someone who can really just bounce ideas with you, eventually land on something that is something that you're both comfortable with. Turns out that Valkyrae and I are into a lot of the same anime. She likes a lot of really violent stuff, which was super surprising to me. She was citing like Chainsaw Man, My Hero Academia, like a lot of, you know, really, you know, Jujutsu Kaisen, a lot of really violent stuff. And she wanted to channel that same energy into this project that we were doing. And I was like, yeah, easy. That's what I do anyway. So from there, I took a lot of the brainstorming that we had on the story elements and turned them into a script. project. On the production side, Globalcomix was lucky enough to let me bring on my production team, Inspire Productions, which is my studio, to handle the production side. And so, you know, I brought on Third PHP, who is a French artist, as a lead artist here on the manga. He actually worked with me on God Game, which was my first ever serialization. I'm talking like 5 years ago. And he is an absolute killer. Some of the most dynamic work I've ever seen from an artist. And we have already worked together in the past, so that was really a great reunion. JD, who was another artist that has worked on a number of backgrounds for different series, most notably Angel Wings. He worked on some of the backgrounds on that project. He's also working on some stuff for Double Kill. He worked on for a little bit, but also Bodyguard Babysitter. He's done backgrounds for that project as well, which is not released yet. I think I've announced it somewhere, but if I haven't, here's another announcement. And then I brought on a coloring team, Chromatic, who has done a lot of the colors with my sort of oversight on series like Double Kill, Blood System. They handled the entire production of Blood System, Bodyguard Babysitter again. So they've been really great partners on the color aspect, as well as just a good production partner for most of my action series. I had one of my assistants, Sassy, helping me manage the project itself. And then I had Will, who was the head of content at Globalcomix, helping to edit the project. And so basically it was like a huge all-star lineup of people that, you know, I've already worked with, that I sort of brought together to create this, like, you know, all-star team to help make the actual production itself. And as a result, hopefully we'll be flashing pages on here, but the art and the production came out freaking crazy in terms of the quality. Really tight deadline project. The project was a little bit loose on the deadline side. What we were mainly looking to do was really emphasize the quality that we were able to attain, especially because this was a short-running project. Only 3 chapters up front, but, you know, hopefully the ability to greenlight some more if people really like it. And so yeah, right now chapter 1 is out. Chapter 2 and 3 are dropping before December. If people really like it, I hope that, you know, they'll continue the project. And the cool part for me is that it's being released in various languages: French, Japanese, a few other languages. It's being done in print formats, so it's going to be printed in typical manga style, which is right to left reading orientation. It's also being reformatted for webtoons, which is a lot of the projects that I've done, so it'll also be in a vertical scroll format as well on launch, which is not very common. So, you know, kudos to Globalcomix for really investing a lot of marketing and production into this project. Yeah, just really great partners. And this was really a good chance for me to really show what I can do from a production standpoint, you know, bringing in the right team together to really do a manga project, but also from a writing shop's perspective, really taking like a lot of the story elements that Ray and I worked on together and making it into a coherent story that feels immersive, that connects all the different character storylines that are happening, and really feels like a really strong, awesome shonen story that can just give you chills, you know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, I get to work with a lot of my friends on a really high profile project, which is really cool. Now, what can you guys learn from all of this, right? Like, you know, landing this project, it's not all about my talent. It was a lot about like how many projects I'd finished, right? My portfolio going into this project was that I'd finished a lot of different chapters and episodes for serialized works, and a lot of that work was really high quality, and that I could show, you know, Valkyrae and show Globalcomix like, hey guys, like this is publishable stuff that you guys can check out. And so that, you know, when the opportunity came up, like that was sort of a no-brainer for them to just be like, Brandon's done this 1,000 times, like let's do it. Having a social media following sort of helped me a little bit. Knowing the Globalcomix guys helped a lot, but I think really at the end of the day, what mattered the most was being able to show, you know, all the stakeholders that I'd done this before, and that I can really easily take an idea from, you know, just a phone call to a finished product that is shippable and, you know, fully marketable for readers to consume. And so basically, if you're an aspiring creator, like, one, make your projects, build your portfolio, have something to show, so that when the opportunity comes, it's really easy for you to be like, hey, I've done this before. The second part is really putting yourself out there, right? Like, I met the Globalcomix guy way before this project ever was even happening, and then really as I continued doing my thing, when the opportunity finally arose, they tapped me on the shoulder and we were off to the races, right? Be willing to meet people and be willing to put your work out there. If you're not meeting, you know, different publishers or different partners that are potentially making projects and funding those projects, just putting yourself out there and your skill set out there can really help in terms of like getting on other people's radar. And so yeah, the more you finish, the more you network, the more you put yourself out there, the more likely you are to get something like Apollyon made. Once again, guys, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have gone this far, please comment Abyss in the comments so that I know that you got this far, and please consider checking out Apollyon. It's out there on Globalcomix. I'll put the link in the description. I'd love to know your thoughts on the project so far, and hopefully if it's well received, received and we shared it out around enough, like we can get more chapters made, which I would love. I really actually got really attached to this project and the characters as I was making it. So yeah, thank you guys so much. I'll catch you guys in next week's video. Thank you. Peace.